name is Jennifer Walsh, and I'm on a mission to get more people outdoors, to understand and share the health benefits of spending time in nature, to fully comprehend the power that green spaces in nature have on our overall health, well-being, and mental state. We decided to film the entire season at the beautiful wellness community, Serenbe. Their mission is to live and work in harmony with nature, connecting people to nature and each other, so choosing to film in this beautiful place was a perfect fit in every way. The conversations on my walk are open and lively. We speak to a cross-section of industry leaders, people with varied backgrounds, yet all share how their connections and time spent in nature have shaped their life and their work. Join me on a walk with Walsh. This season made possible by Mother Dirt, good bacteria for great skin. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of A Walk with Walsh. So happy to have Terry Lynn with us. Hello friend.
Hello.
How
Thanks
are you?
for having me.
So happy
I'm
you're
great.
here.
It's amazing here. It's so magical.
I know, isn't it?
Yes.
Everyone says that. They come to Serenbe, it's just, it kind of just washes over you, the beauty of it all. And especially what you do, the co-founder of Outer.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a lot about your why you created Outer,
Yes.
and especially being at Serenbe and in nature, how your design and your mission for the brand, how it really goes back to why we need to be outdoors more.
Yeah.
So would you mind going for a walk
Absolutely.
and we can chat
Let's
about
do
it?
Yeah.
So I know about your background. Would you care to share a little bit about
Sure.
how you got into what you're doing at Outer?
Sure. So my background is I have an industrial design degree from Rhode Island School of Design.
Great school.
So trained as a designer.
Yeah.
And then as I got out of school, for the first part of my career, I did product design consulting.
Okay.
And the most
was that under
well-known.
another firm, or was that under?
Yeah, I was working for different firms.
Okay.
The most well-known one was IDEO.
Oh, of course.
So it's a pretty well-known company. And then after that, what I realized was as a consultant, you're good at coming with ideas, but not really good at developing products to market.
Sure.
And I realized at that point, I needed to make a switch, and that led me to start working for Pottery Barn, where I started as the first hard lines designer for PB Teen.
And can you describe what a hard lines designer is?
The hard lines designer is, so anything that's a soft line is a fabric. Anything that is a hard line is wood, metal, plastic, ceramic, so anything that actually is hard.
Okay.
So basically furniture. So prior to that, I had actually never designed furniture. So I was fortunate to get the job, and I can say, like, my first piece of furniture was awful. It was totally out of proportion.
Oh, really?
I looked at it and was like, oh my God. I just designed a peewee.
Did you know that it was like, oh,
No.
it's totally, you just
No,
like, oh.
you design on CAD, and you think it looks good, and then they make it, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed by this thing. But, you know, I learned over time. Over time. And eventually, I moved over to the Pottery Barn brand, the big brand, and became their head furniture designer.
Wow.
So I developed my experience designing furniture there.
How long did that take from that point to?
I think 3 years.
Okay. Got it.
Before I moved over to Pottery Barn. So yeah, I really developed my experience there. And then after that, I kind of made a few more moves. So, you know, with that, it was specialty retail, lifestyle specialty retail.
Sure.
And then, you know, if I fast forward, I also did like mass retail. So at like Walmart e-commerce, and while I did that, it was actually not design. It was a complete opposite. It was really like left brain thinking versus right brain thinking, which was a great experience, very, very challenging, very painful.
Was it interesting you learned that when you get thrown into it and you say, okay, this isn't, you're good at it, I'm sure, but it wasn't what drives you.
And you know, I think a lot of that has to do with just like learning about yourself.
Yes.
And you know, like I started out as a designer, and you know, as I you know, developed as a designer, and then started a family, and then living in San Francisco, a lot of it has to do with being able to survive.
Yes.
And like keeping up with the Joneses. As a designer, can you do that?
Yeah.
Like if you look at like a salary of a designer versus someone that's on the business side of things, it is like there's such a variance. So I felt like as I grew up and I started a family, I needed to kind of be able to support my family. And then in doing so, it clouded my decision making on the choices I needed to make. And I took a job with Walmart, starting in the creative side and then eventually moving to the business side as a promotion, and I was following the money, honestly.
Yeah, of course. So we can do sometimes.
Yes,
Yes.
it led to really good learning,
Yeah.
but really painful few years.
I'm sure very different too.
Very, very different. Instead of actually like sketching, I was looking at spreadsheets and doing
Oh.
analytics.
That's really tough for a creative.
Yeah.
I understand that completely. I know that feeling because I've had to do the same.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So I realized, like with every experience, you take away the good, you learn from the bad, and then you move on, and then hopefully it kind of shapes who you are
Yes.
and what's important. And fast forward to now at Outer, I'm able to take elements of everything that I've done. So learning from specialty retail to mass retail to direct to consumer at Casper, and see what I thought was good, what were like the best practices, and begin applying some of that to what we're doing with Outer. But also like taking a lot of like the values that I care about, the things that I love, but combining it with what I think I'm good at now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are with Outer.
So what is your mission at Outer exactly?
Yeah, so Outer, we are a direct-to-consumer outdoor furniture brand, and our mission is to get people outside, and we're starting with
See, I love that mission. That's why I couldn't wait to interview you. I said, oh my gosh, you get me. You really, really get me.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we started with the most comfortable outdoor sofa, and we're different than most retailers in like lifestyle retailers will develop a whole assortment of product,
Yes.
whereas all we're doing is we've started with that one product, and what we want to do is design that perfect thing so that we have the permission to design the next thing. So people can trust us. As a new brand, the biggest thing you have to lose is trust. So if you don't come up with a good product, you've lost that customer. So it took us a year to develop it, and the way we thought about it, I believe, is quite different than how you actually design furniture. We went down to every single component of the furniture. There are 26 pieces to our furniture. We analyzed all of them and figured out what was good, what was bad, what could we do that could be better.
Wow.
But
Didn't
going
you
back,
also tell me, didn't mean to interrupt you, but didn't you also say like every component is custom made, like even down to the screws?
every component is custom made. Yeah.
Oh
So
gosh.
it took us a year to design it, probably because the hardest part was our fabric.
Okay.
I am not a fabric designer, and I had to learn how to be a fabric designer. I had to think about all of the ins and outs of the warp and the weft, and the way you do slub, and the way you actually spin the yarn.
Yes.
And then just kind of worked with the suppliers, the textile manufacturers, to tell them what is good, what is bad, and how do you improve this thing? How do you improve the hand of this? What is the right grams per square meter of this fabric? So
my
it really
gosh.
was a whole education.
Yes, and also you have to do, I'm sure, the testing on how it survives in the weather.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like going from, like you said, when we were having lunch, Palm Desert compared to the Northeast. So
Yes.
it's very, very different. So how
Yeah.
did you have to do that kind of testing? How did you
Yeah,
know?
so that's one of the things that we realized was a problem with outdoor furniture. There is what we call like throwaway furniture, where
Yeah.
great deal, you buy it, it looks good for a season, and then
Yes.
after that it doesn't look good. Or you can go the other extreme where it's super expensive and
Yes.
it's basically unattainable. And when you look at the price of an indoor sofa versus an outdoor sofa,
Yeah.
people are like, why is it twice as expensive? And it makes sense, because if you think about how much you use an indoor sofa versus an outdoor, I would say like 10%
Yeah.
versus like 10% of the time you use an outdoor sofa compared to an indoor sofa. But why would I pay double or triple?
Yeah.
And the reason is because what you said, which is the environmental conditions. So outdoor furniture is difficult to design because you have to be able to design for any environment.
Sure.
From being by the ocean with a high salt content,
Yes.
to being by a pool with chlorinated water, to freeze and thaw cycles of the Northeast, to like extreme rain and wetness of the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
to the Palm Desert and Arizona, where it gets to 120 and dry. So like you can imagine, if you don't actually have good quality materials,
Yeah.
it's going to be apparent really quickly.
Oh, I'm sure. But people don't think about that, obviously, because
don't
you look
think
at all
about
the
that.
outdoor furniture. Because I'm in New York City, so I don't have any outdoor furniture. But I used to when I lived in Florida, and it was always like you said. It only lasted a short period of time
Yeah.
because it wasn't meant for the Florida heat, and it was so obvious because it was so warped. I
Yeah.
live very close to the ocean, so it was completely warped all the time, and I have to replace it every 2 years or so.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and then you go back into the waste component of that.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more as well, like how you make the wicker, how you make everything. So I think that's the really fascinating part as well.
As we even before we put pen to paper, we basically came up with like what we wanted it to be, and we said we want it to be as comfortable as your mattress, as durable as outdoor camping equipment, as stylish as your indoor furniture, all while being completely sustainable. So those are the four things that we wanted to do. So, you know, with comfort, we realized where we started, comfort had to do with the cushion, the way it's actually built.
Yes.
Outdoor cushions, they're made with something called a quick dry foam.
Okay.
And a quick dry foam is, the name tells what it does. Like if you pour water onto the cushion, it will mostly drain out.
Okay.
But if you think about any kind of sponge, if you pour water into it, what happens?
Of course.
Most of it comes out, but it's still going to be a little damp,
yes.
which eventually could lead to mold growth. But the bigger part is quick dry foam is not comfortable. So we talk about butt tests.
Okay.
And a butt test is if I blindfolded you and I had you sit on an indoor sofa versus an outdoor sofa, your butt would know which one the outdoor sofa is.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Okay.
So
I get it.
Because of that, we knew that when I went and did the research on the foams that were available for outdoor use,
yes.
I couldn't find anything that I wanted to do. And you know, as a startup, we didn't have the budget to actually try to create our own custom formulation for a foam.
Oh, sure.
Where that ended up was that the question we asked was, if cushions get wet, why do people care? I mean, why don't we design it so the cushions don't get wet? So if you think about a foam, if it gets wet, it gets ruined.
Sure.
So we said, well, let's just not have the cushion get wet in the first place.
Okay.
And then this goes to like as comfortable, as durable as your camping equipment.
Yes.
So we've put something like a Gore-Tex layer. It's a waterproof, breathable layer over our foam. And in doing so, it makes sure that the foam doesn't get wet.
Wow.
So, like, that's an obvious question you would ask. Like, why is everyone designing it so the water passes through? We asked, why let water pass through in the first place?
Sure.
And what that allows us to do is now that we have a barrier that goes over the foam, it allows us to use any foam that we want.
Oh, wow.
So in doing so, we were able to go back to like all the different densities of foam, memory foams, to get it as close to something like a mattress.
Wow.
So that's an example of how we thought about comfort for our first iteration.
Okay. So going back to, let's talk about, so sustainability-wise.
Yeah. So when we were designing it, before we even started designing it, we started with what, because our product is made with lots of oil-based plastics,
sure.
we needed to make sure that the plastics we use were actually recyclable. So we went and looked at the international recycle codes, and then from there we selected what we wanted to do. So our products use recycle codes 2, 4, and 5.
Okay.
So if you look at that, that's the one that most waste management companies will actually take in, like the blue bins, to recycle.
Interesting.
So we started with what can we do, and then from there, can we create the materials that we needed to create that's durable enough, but also can be recycled.
Interesting.
So that's how we did that part.
How long did that process take? Because I can't imagine that would have been an easy task at all.
It wasn't that part wasn't too hard.
Really?
It was just a matter of, like, once you actually know what the requirements are,
sure.
then it's just saying, this is what we need to do. Can you do this? Can you not do it? Where it got challenging was with our fabric. So the premium fabrics that you can buy today are made with, it's called 100% solution dyed acrylic.
Okay.
So it's, we were going down that route, and we realized it was way too expensive, especially for the price point we wanted to hit. And on top of that, it fell into Recycle Code 7, which is a catch-all for all of the materials that waste management companies will not recycle. So it would go to the landfill.
Oh, wow.
So with that, we just said it's a non-starter. We actually need code to design our own fabrics.
Yeah.
And that's where the fabrics was the most challenging parts. We went to probably 8 or 9 different textiles producers, asking them to produce this thing. It took us easily 8 months going through different iterations of actually getting it to the point where we needed to get it to.
Oh my gosh.
So that actually delayed our launch.
Okay.
Basically.
Because it took 8 months to do that part of it.
Just that part took 8 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, okay, on that note, that must have been really hard on the business because I guess you were, because you're a small business, so you're trying to start up and, cash flow and everything else. And
Yeah.
you want to make sure you make the best product possible.
Yeah.
Was that a tough time?
So it was just Jake and me at the
Okay.
time, which was great because he has another business that he's running. So really, it was just me working on a small budget.
Okay.
So it wasn't
That's
too
good.
bad. So it really was just like my time and being able to provide
Sure.
the baseline for my family.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I was going to say, another piece, and it's probably the most prominent thing about our product, and it goes back to like, when I talk about protection and when I talk about, as durable as your camping equipment.
Yes.
Before we designed, we asked customers that owned outdoor furniture how often you use your outdoor furniture. And the answers we got were, I use it once or twice on the weekends to a few times a month. And that was
Okay.
the general consensus of
Interesting.
how people use their outdoor furniture.
Okay.
And then the next question we asked was, why?
Yeah.
And the answer we got was, the furniture is gross. So I leave it outside, I'm lazy,
Oh,
and now
wow.
it's wet, it's dirty,
It's
there's
gross.
bird poop on it.
Okay.
And if I want to sit on it, I actually have to clean it. So for me to clean it, I need to take the time to clean it and then I have to let it dry.
Yes.
And
it's
then
a
now that
process.
moment
it's
of
gone.
wanting to sit on it is gone.
Yeah.
So that's the first one.
Great
The second
point.
one is that the furniture is covered. So the act of uncovering
Yeah.
is actually cumbersome, so they don't do it.
Okay.
And then the last is, I just put my cushions indoor. I put them somewhere else. A garage,
Yes.
a storage shed,
I hear that a lot.
a hallway,
Okay.
a basement. And in doing so, I actually have to go and do 3 trips to bring out my cushions, and I don't want to deal with that if I just want to
Again,
go
it takes
have-
away the moment
It
of
does.
just
It
enjoying
takes
your
the moment.
furniture.
So a lot of what we're doing is, going back to a lot of like the values we care about.
yes.
It's that we want to make it easier for people to get outside. As I've gone on my journey, I've done some wellness retreats,
Yes.
and one of the retreats I did was a good friend who is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor,
Okay.
and she taught me all about grounding. I don't know if
Yes,
you know
I
what
know
grounding
all
is.
about it. Of
So
course.
grounding is, okay. You want to explain grounding?
Well, when you walk, when you have your shoes off,
Barefoot
and
on the
you
earth, yeah.
are really getting the vibration of the earth underneath your feet to
Yep.
really reconnect you to the planet
Exactly.
without shoes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there's so many benefits that you see, that from sleeping better to reducing stress to like better immunity.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, like, if you think about when you go on vacation, you're walking on a beach,
Yes.
your feet are like right along the water and it's lapping and you feel great. And it's not just because you're on vacation, it is because of what you just said, which
Yes.
is our Earth is just one negatively charged ion.
Yes.
And our body is full of like free radicals, which really kind of damage your cells,
Yeah.
makes you age faster.
Yes.
So just walking barefoot on the earth has all these benefits, and you think about how easy it is.
It's so easy and it's so
And-
good for you, and the health benefits are astronomical.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you think about like all the stuff with like caveman medicine. That is caveman medicine
Yeah.
at its core.
Yes, it is.
So like for us, we realized that there was a statistic that we saw, which was the average American spends 93% of their lives indoors,
Yeah.
89% in their homes, and the remainder in their car.
Isn't that fascinating when you really like step back and think
scary.
about that?
7%
It
of
is.
the lives.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
And then you look at where most free radicals are. Where do you think they are?
Indoors.
Indoors, work environments, in your car. So everything we're doing
I'm
is
so
like,
glad you're saying all this because everyone's afraid to go outside. Yet a lot of the harm that we're doing is indoors.
it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And of course,
there's-
the furniture that we're sitting on and all the stuff that's bad for you. And yes,
Yeah, and we as we are creating our brand, yes, we want to create great furniture, but what we want to do is really enable those great experiences that you had outdoors. And for me, as a father of young kids, what I realize is like I am an experiment of what I want our brand to be,
sure.
which is, I know growing up, I spent a lot of times outdoors. My parents didn't know where I was half the time.
And that's the best part. I thought.
Yeah.
I love that about being young outdoors. You
Yeah.
just kind of went and they wouldn't worry about you. I used to love to get lost in the woods by my house outside of New York City. I would just go just so I
Yeah.
could try and lose myself. Like just
Yeah.
I mean, if I could find myself, but just get lost in the woods for a while, and it was a
Yeah.
great experience.
And then I think there's something about society that we've lost that. And then,
Oh, yeah.
where I lived in the suburbs of Delaware, it was easier to do. It was safer. And being in the city,
Yes.
there's different things that you worry about. But like a lot of what I do is I want to make sure that my decisions that I make are about like how it impacts my kids and then the future generations. And like, if you think about, there's great stuff that happens with technology, but there's also the entire negative side of like
Absolutely.
device addiction. And like I said, I am the experiment and I fail a lot. Like I talk about not being on my device and then I look at my weekly time I spend on my phone and I'm like, oh my
Sure.
God, I've just failed again.
But
and
at least you're aware of like
I'm
what
aware,
we're doing,
yeah.
and I think that's the biggest thing.
yeah.
And that you're creating a brand to bring people back outdoors, to be in a community, to invite people to come over and sit outside.
Yeah.
I think it's just so important because
It's
that's what you're
very.
doing, and you're
Yeah.
changing the way people think about outdoor furniture.
Yeah.
Which again, I have to say, I haven't thought about outdoor furniture as being impactful in how I act in my own home. So if I had a home that I could actually sit outside again, it'd be great to be like, this furniture is also comfortable, it's great, it's durable, but it's also not harming the planet.
Yes.
And that's such a huge,
That's
huge
such
part.
a big piece of what
Yeah.
we are doing, which is everything we do, there is a piece where we ask that question. And if we can't actually say we're doing something where it's sustainable, it's reducing carbon footprint, then we're actually not going to actually do that thing. And a lot of it has to do with like just being a good role model, like for me, for my kids. Like I know that I have 8 years, I think, before whatever wisdom that I can impart to my kids,
Yeah.
they're going to start forming their own,
Sure.
view of the world. I want to make sure I do my best about, one, hopefully giving them a better world than where it's going,
Yes.
making better choices. So just kind of
Absolutely.
using myself as sort of a role model for
Yeah,
them.
I think it's great. And can I also tell you something? It was fun because I was just introduced to your brand a few months ago.
Yeah.
And Monica Olson, who's part of the Serenbe team, who's behind the camera right now, she introduced me to your brand. But it was really fun because your products are here at Serenbe. We're going to
Yes.
talk about that in a second. But there are people around us, and she's like, oh, but do you know the benefits? And she would show how you can fold it up and then carry it out. Can you
Yep.
describe, which was so beautiful because Monica did a really good job of like wrapping it, throwing it over her shoulder and carrying it out. But can you
Yeah.
describe like how you did that and why you did that?
Yeah, so going back to the research that we did on asking customers how often they use their furniture and then why they didn't use it
Yes.
more, it was because of the convenience or the furniture being dirty. So obviously we realized that there's a piece of protection that wasn't being addressed properly, where people just used big rain covers.
Yes.
There's a better way of doing it, and so we've designed something called the outer shell. And the outer shell it's a very simple design. It is basically a piece of fabric
But it's
with
really
a
beautiful
zipper
though. It's really
and a
beautiful.
Velcro like strip with a handle. And the idea is that it's easy to protect your furniture. So you roll it over the back cushion and then the seat cushion, and then you basically secure it underneath, and you can carry it off like a suitcase.
Yeah.
And then when you want to use it, you just unstrap the Velcro and you throw it over the back,
Yep.
and the furniture is ready to go. And it takes a fraction of a second to do it.
Yes.
So like if you think about the barrier of wanting to use your furniture, you've now eliminated that. So like, the more we can eliminate those things, then it's like I think about things in minutes. So like I'm not trying to get people to be outside for hours and hours, because that's probably not realistic with how busy people are. But if you can get outside for 5 minutes barefoot,
Absolutely.
what is that going to do for
So much for your health.
well-being?
Yes,
So-
exactly.
So everything is like little things that we're doing, and with that thing, as we designed it and showed our friends and family the sample, they're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!"
Sense.
And they're like, "This." One of our friends said, "This is like the first time someone put casters on luggage."
Oh.
So you think about luggage, you used to
yes.
carry it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you put
course.
casters on in the
know.
beginning? And it's
Yeah.
the same thing. But so they said, you need to go get this patented. We're like, oh, we didn't even think about that. And I was like, this invention is not that complex. We went and did the patent search and find out that no one has designed anything like this before,
Wow.
which was shocking to us because
And what year did you do that then?
it was designed in 2018.
Okay.
In the beginning of 2018.
Got it.
We did the patent search, are now patent pending on that. But what
Fantastic.
that goes to highlight is that the way people are designing, at least outdoor furniture, there's not a lot of innovation in how they think. And at least in my time when I was at Pottery Barn, there was certainly a formula of how you designed product. And in that formula, there was very little time, if any,
Sure.
for actually innovating or actually solving a major problem. So a lot of what we're doing at Outer is trying to incorporate, a lot of the process and thinking in my time at IDEO and
Okay.
applying it to furniture.
That makes so much sense. So what do you have the couch, correct?
Yep.
Right now, and you have tables?
We are going to be launching a
going
lot
to?
more products
Okay.
next year. So we're going to be doing line extensions of the sofa.
Okay.
We are introducing, we're going to be introducing some accent tables. So what our plan is, we're not trying to grow our assortment really big. We're just trying to
Smart.
be really thoughtful about it. But we also,
It's smart. It's just smart.
we want to make sure that we can outfit our customers' backyards, starting with the lounge area. Like if you think about the outdoors, there are two key areas. There's the lounge area and then
Yes.
there's the dine area.
Yeah.
So we're starting with the sofa and then really helping you build out the assortment to be able to round out all those things that you might want that fit into your aesthetic,
Sure.
your price point, and then kind of your values.
Wow. It really makes so much sense. And that I'm thankful that you're doing it because I really haven't seen it anywhere else done so thoughtfully. So it's funny, when I came to Serenbe once, Steve and I, when I met him, I said, this is the most thoughtfully planned community I've ever seen. He said,
Yeah.
no, it's just common sense.
Yeah.
Which of course makes sense. And like what you're just doing, it makes sense for what
Yeah.
we need right now. And what we need as a community of people to come together and be outside and be mindful about how we're using fabrics and how we're using our time outside and how we're, even like you said about grounding, it's all being thoughtful and mindful of how we're interacting with all the things in our lives.
Yeah. I didn't mention, but, the other part of our business has to do with our retail model, which we're calling the neighborhood showroom.
Yes.
So
Because you are direct to consumer.
we
right?
are a direct-to-consumer brand, and we know that omni-channel is really important.
Sure.
Having an actual physical location is important, especially for our product, which is a higher price point item. So new brand with an expensive-ish product.
Yes.
Why would I trust you? So we knew that
Sure.
there needed to be a see, touch, feel component to our product. So we created something we call the neighborhood showroom. And what that is it's basically we are crowdsourcing showrooms. It's like a peer-to-peer showroom network through our customers who become hosts.
They
And the
become hosts,
idea,
like
our
their own
customers become
showroom.
hosts. So they own the furniture,
They buy it from you.
they buy it,
Okay.
they own it, and that is such a big piece that they own it, that they actually experience the furniture itself.
Yes.
And in doing so, one, it actually reduces the cost of us having to open multiple showrooms.
Absolutely.
Two, it's actually the people so the idea is that you can see, touch, and feel our furniture in your neighbor's backyard before you decide to buy.
Wow.
And the idea is that, there's a community aspect of what we are doing. And I can tell you, again, from firsthand experience, I live in the city. I know some of my neighbors by face and by name, and that's all. I don't really know my neighbors. I'll say hello, and that's about it.
And speaking of neighbors, because I feel the same way, look, when we just are like, hey, we only say hi to our neighbors, all of a sudden these horses just came running over to us. They were over there, and they saw us talking and walking. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
You gonna come? He's coming.
They are. Okay, we have to say hi.
Hi.
Again, here are the neighbors at Serenbe.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. Hi, beauties.
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
I wish I had an apple to give you, but I don't.
Hello. This is
Well,
what
fresh.
community is about, right?
Yeah.
This is great. And this is why it's so important to create the products you create, because it's about protecting
That's right.
the land, protecting the creatures. This is it.
Yeah.
This is community, and I think this is like what you said. And you even have a showroom here, correct?
We do. We have a showroom here. And I think Serenbe is a really unique case where they do emphasize community and community building with how they do their biophilic design.
Yes.
But it's unusual, and it's a really amazing role model that I think the rest of the country needs to follow. But it's just not the case. So we're trying to try to bring back some of that sense of community
Yep.
into your neighborhood. So being able to actually go talk to your neighbor, like giving them a reason to do it.
Yes.
We're actually, as we've been piloting our program, we are seeing that it is helping establish better bonds with your neighbors, and
So interesting.
you need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is just a way that we thought we could do it.
Have you ever seen that done anywhere else? Because I've never seen a program such as that for.
I haven't seen anything at scale,
Yeah.
at least with what we're trying to do, because we are basically trying to do it across the entire country.
Yep.
And we would hope where we could say we'll be no farther than 5 miles from anyone.
Okay.
That's kind of like our aspirational goal.
Yeah.
So like we talk about, we want to be the biggest distributed showroom in long tail markets. And I know that's a mouthful,
Wow.
but the idea is that a lot of the retailers can't go where we're going. We're going to customers' backyards.
Literally.
It's not zoned for commercial. It's more convenient because you don't actually have to drive anywhere. It's your neighborhood. So, and in doing so, you know, like we can ramp these up really quick. There's almost no carbon footprint because the infrastructure exists. It's someone's backyard.
Oh, that's a great point. That's a
So
great point.
there's no air conditioning.
Yes. Yes.
So when you think about retail, like once you actually open a store, you have the ongoing monthly rental.
Yes.
You have the sales
the
associates,
utilities,
all that stuff.
everything, yes.
So like, you know, when you do that, you basically have to build the cost of the unproductive time into the products.
It's incredible. You're
Just
right.
so that you can be profitable. So, you know, that was a big reason also why we did it, which is if you look at retail and what's happening, there's a different way that we can do it that we believe could be smarter and just another alternative.
Changing it.
Yeah.
Like you were saying before when we were having lunch, just kind of changing the dynamic of how we shop for things, and
Yes.
especially for furniture. What do the hosts get out of it? So they're going to host. They have the showroom. So and you're going to get to know their neighbors better.
Yep.
So do they also get a fee for it, or how does
Yes,
that work
yes.
for them?
So, you know, we've had an amazing response to our neighborhood showrooms. To date, we've had about 3,000 applicants,
Really?
which is insane. Like we
Wait,
didn't
and
know.
How long have you've only been around for? How long?
Like 8 months.
Exactly. That's incredible.
We've had a lot of people interested. And so, you know, you apply to be a host, you take pictures of your backyard, you tell
Yes.
why you want to do it. So, like, we want to try to get to some of the motivations of what it is.
Sure.
You know, if you get accepted, we do offer a discount on the furniture. We offer early access and discounts on future products. And for every visit that you have, we pay a fee.
Okay.
And our fee is not based on if it sells or not, it's just based on you showing it.
Sure.
And the reason we do that is we don't want to make it like a salesy thing.
Yes.
Like we don't want to incentivize our host to say things that the customer wants to hear. We just want them to say exactly what their experience is.
And you think that as a community-centered kind of brand, that your neighbors want to hear the truth from like why you have
Yeah.
it. And since you did buy it in the first place, you probably loved the product, so that's why you want more people to understand their passion for it.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to like what we're trying to do, how we're doing it, why it's different. Look how amazing that mushroom is.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
That is
I'm sure
beautiful.
it's poisonous, and if I ate it, I would
I'm
die.
sure, yeah, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch it or taste it, but you're right, that is beautiful. Gosh, it's gorgeous. Again, all about protecting the land, right?
Yeah.
All about nature. So what are you doing next? I know we talked a lot before, actually off camera, about the ingredients, really?
Yeah, the material science.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you know, as we do it, we
You
are,
refer to yourself as a material scientist of sorts.
yeah, so like, you
I
know,
refer to you as that, actually.
you know, as we continue to build out our brand, a lot of it has to do with like being a model of how small companies can make a big change.
Yes.
You know, even though we are a small company doing outdoor furniture, we're trying to do things differently so that hopefully other companies follow the path that we're taking. So like the material science is that there's a limited palette of what you can use outdoors that can actually withstand the outdoors.
Yes.
And it's less than the 10 things that you can count on your hand. So cement being one of them. It's a great material. It's used everywhere, but it
Yeah.
has a huge carbon footprint. But you know, we are working on some new tables, so accent tables, and going into coffee tables and eventually dining tables. But we knew that if we did this, we are contributing to the CO2 and the carbon footprint. And so, with that, we are working with a partner to develop a new formulation for concrete.
Oh, wow.
And the concrete is stronger, it's lighter, it has a lower carbon footprint, and the most exciting part is that this concrete captures CO2. And everything we think about is, as we do this, every time you take that extra step from heating up the mixture to create the concrete to shipping it across the ocean, it creates a carbon footprint. And what we believe that we're doing with this new concrete is making it a carbon neutral product, which in cement is unheard of.
Absolutely.
And again, like if you do this, it just helps show that even if a small company can do this, you start getting other people to think about cement.
Absolutely.
And then at scale,
I never thought
can you
about
imagine
cement.
buildings that are full, like high rises made of concrete that can actually act like trees, because trees suck in CO2.
Yeah.
I would love to
That
be
would be
part of that,
incredible.
right? So it's just about like the butterfly effect of little things that you do. Hopefully people catch on, and once you get to scale, you can make big changes with it.
Well, like you're on the right side of history,
Yes.
It's just a matter of putting this into practice so that you're doing something that's so important.
Exactly.
Which is hard to do. I'm sure it's hard to execute, but you're taking the time to do it.
Taking the time to do it. We don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's, like a lot of what we talk about is we want to be able to leave this earth better than we were on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going in that direction right now. So more and more people are going to have to think about this. And one of the things that scares me is that when my 9-month-old or 5-year-old are out of school or even going to college, what majors are they going to have?
Yeah.
They probably don't exist yet.
You're probably right.
And I bet you a lot of them will be something about combating climate change, where computer science is such an important one right now. I think it's going to shift. And it's just scary to think that they're going to be dealing with these problems that I can't even fathom right now. And that's what we're leaving them. So hopefully we can minimize that, slow it down, and hopefully they won't have to worry about things like that.
I think it's a great legacy for yourself to leave to others, and also what you're teaching other companies to do. Like if you can do it, like you said, you're a small business. You can do it. Come on, everyone. Like
big companies can do it.
We should definitely do it.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to share with us, Hicks? I know you have limited time, and I'm so thankful you took the time to walk with us today. It was a long walk.
That was a great walk.
We needed some time outside today.
We dodged some horse manure.
We did.
So it was pretty nice.
I know, saw some mushrooms and some horses, so that was like a pretty epic walk, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to think about or share with other people?
Yeah, so I would say, like as we move into 2020, we are going to be partnering with 1% for the Planet.
Oh, fantastic.
And we need help helping figure out which nonprofit and organization that we should actually stand behind. So I'd love any help on giving suggestions on that.
Well, hopefully everyone watches the video can make some suggestions underneath, so please do so when you watch the video. Let them know, like, where should the money go? What should we do? How can we help?
I love that.
Yeah. Terry, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your gifts, and especially the brand that you've created. It's beautiful. Keep up the great work. And thank you for everyone watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
This episode of A Walk with Walsh wouldn't be possible without our sponsor, Mother Dirt. Learn more about all their great products.
Clean. We create habits around this word from the moment we're born. We clean ourselves, our kids, our homes, our environment so that we can be healthy. Are we? Are clean and healthy starting to become two different things? What about the kind of clean that comes with healthy, with being human, with thriving? Maybe that clean is something different.
And I want to thank our season partners, the Inn at Serenbe and Igni Productions. Continue the conversation by subscribing to our YouTube channel and the companion podcast available at Apple Podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next Wednesday for more walks.